Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, the 7th day of February 2025. And of course, my name is Alexis Jeffers, and it is indeed my pleasure being here again on another Friday afternoon to bring some information to you and to have this program that we've been pushing forward with for the last year or more. Indeed, it is always a pleasure to recognize those in our midst in terms of who are listening at this point in time. So I want to recognize the entire island of Nevis. Of course, everyone should be listening Von Radio at this time because Von Radio is the Caribbean's only powerhouse, and this is the station that most, if not all, persons on the island are tuned into on a daily basis, especially at this time. Also want to shout up the folks down there in St. Kitts who are tuned in and viewing, for example, via YouTube or Facebook. Welcome, and I hope you're having a good lunch over there as well too. Down in the neighboring islands of Statia, Sabre, French and Dutch St. Martin, of course, Tortola, that is the British Virgin Islands, and then we go into the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. John, St. Thomas, and Croix. Of course, we move to Puerto Rico and all the way up into the United States, North America, that is, which covers the east coast of the United States into the Midwest and all the way over to the west of the United States. Now, they're still in the forenoon there in California, Oregon, and Washington states. For example, of course, we cover the whole of Canada. Toronto, we do have quite a number of followers there, and citizens who live there as well too. And indeed up in Europe, England, France, Germany and the likes, and then into Asia, the whole of Asia, who are tuned in via the different social media platforms. I like to do this because, as I said last week, and I keep saying, persons are expecting us to recognize them because we can't see them, they can't see us in some regards. But of course, with social media, they can see us, of course, yes. But they're distance away and they feel touched in some way when we recognize the country that they find themselves in at this point in time. So that being said, I want to say also that we normally follow a format here on Point. And indeed, at this point in time, we normally recognize those who are in the bereaved column. And if you're in the bereaved column this afternoon, I express my profound and deepest sympathies to you and family on the passing of a dear loved one. This afternoon, though, I want to just reach out to the family of Mr. John Aton, Christian John Aton, who was hospitalized for a bit some weeks ago. And we were very hopeful in that we saw some signs of progress, but of course things do happen from time to time, and we would have lost John earlier this week, or at least late last week, Friday evening I believe it was. Very sad occasion, very difficult for the family to deal with and cope with at this time. So I want to express my sympathies to his mom, Haley Aton. I also want to express my sympathies to his wife, Mrs. Aton, Mentress Aton, that is, and all of his children, all of his siblings, all of his nieces, nephews, and indeed, it is a difficult time for the Aton family and all of the other family members. You know, it is the time when you'd want to lend the support to the family. But John had a presence here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, I will say beyond, because he worked initially as a police officer. So that is why I said presence in the Federation. But he also worked in the court down there in Charlestown. He worked in the court registry and also was a bailiff as well. But why I say he had some reach beyond the Federation, I am absolutely sure that persons would have picked up the phone and called John from various parts, whether it's throughout the Caribbean or even North America and Europe and so forth, and asked him to check on this for me. For example, a piece of land. For example, he would have been that type of person who offered that assistance because he had the knowledge and because he had the experience in that regard. So that's why I said that his passing will be felt not only just here in the Federation, but beyond the shores of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So he was, as I said before, a police officer at one point, and indeed he was a devoted Anglican as well, because I believe he was the priest warden for some time down there at the St. Paul's Anglican Church. If you were to attend that church, you would see him moving back and forth and quite involved in the church service and also the working and the performance of the St. Paul's Anglican Church and the Anglican faith on a whole here on Nevis. So John has done a tremendous job as a human being in certainly laying the foundation for our development, and not just now but into the future as well. And you know, sometimes we say the good folks are leaving us day after day. This is one of those good people, those good, decent human beings who would have touched so many lives, who has left us early and left us in shock, if I were to put it that way. And so it is indeed my hope that the arms of God will wrap all of the family members together and provide that comfort during these difficult times, because it will be some difficult days and months and the years ahead to overcome the loss of such decent and vibrant and loving human being. So Haley and the entire family, I want to express my sympathies to you once again, and anyone who can reach out and express your sympathies to Haley and the entire family, and also the surviving spouse, that would be a good thing, and they would certainly appreciate that, I'm sure. So may his soul rest in eternal peace. Same time we got the news of the passing of John, we also received the news of the passing of Robert Clark. Well, sounds like a big name, but this is the gentleman who was affectionately known as Bit from up there in Banscott. Bit would have passed away, I got the news sometime on Saturday morning. So this was like a double blow, a left and a right, straight into your stomach, you know. So Bit, we all knew Bit from his days at Four Seasons Resort. He would have worked there for some time. I believe it was the beach and pool area. But way back in the early 2000s, I know I used to visit the Four Seasons pretty much every day, and used to interact with Bit then. Of course, he would have moved on and he would have done other things. He was a fisherman as well, and had his own little business up there in Banscott. On a Saturday, many of us would have gone there and purchased, you know, his grilled fish and Johnny cake or bake whatever else, you know, he would have served or sold up there. And indeed, he did something that I've always encouraged fishermen to do, and that is not just to go fishing and bring back the fish and sell to customers, but it's the value added aspect of what you do in terms of going out there, catching your fish, bringing it back, adding some okra, some green bananas and so forth in a tin foil and grill that, and then instead of selling a pound of fish for what it's sold for now, $10 or $12 per pound, you can then add some value to that and sell it for $25 for that matter for one fish. So that is what he did. Nothing is wrong with that, but I'm just saying that he would have taken fishing not just for customers but also to conduct business, and he was able to have a relatively successful business right there out of his place up there in Banscott. So he had a large customer base, and persons would go there under the tree and hang out and enjoy the delicious fish done in different styles, conch water as well, and other goodies that he sold. So that will be certainly missed from this particular area in Barnsgate where we would journey on a Saturday. Hopefully, those who are left behind and who would have learned the skill and honed the skills that were passed on by BIT would continue that level of business, because it is a business and it can go on. But in the meantime, in talking about BIT would have done his tremendous best as a young man and as someone who went about his business in a cool fashion. I can't recall ever hearing BIT raise his voice in any way, come to think of it. I'm thinking, but I cannot recall. He always had that smile, and irrespective of what you would have said to him. Those who are much closer to him may say yes, he was animated in some way, but he was always cool and collective about what he would have done and how he carried himself. His general deportment was one that was admirable. And so I want to say to Mabel, his mom, and all of the family, his siblings, his children, his spouse, everyone who are left to mourn, I want to say my deepest and profound sympathies to all of you, and including the entire Barnsgate community. That is a community up there that is well knitted together, and I'm certain that persons would miss BIT up there in the Barnsgate area, of course throughout the whole of Nevis. I just remember something. I think maybe he was the president, but he was a part of this Fishermen's Corp, Fishermen Association that encompassed Barnsgate, Cotton Ground and Jessops. So they had their own little association and would have done a few things there on the play field over there in Jessops. I believe it was done on a Whit Monday, I believe it was Whit Monday, where they had this festival, fish festival or something of that sort. I believe they were the ones who spearheaded that a few years ago, and he was integral in putting that together. So that being said, let me once again express my profound sympathies to both families, both gentlemen who would have passed away at a relatively young age, because both were below 60, and so it is a difficult one to embrace because of the I say still some youth and still some more was left in them to contribute, but God knows best, and we cannot necessarily question the Lord's plan, because there's a plan for all of us. And I've said before that we go through 3 phases in life. You're born, you live, and there is no doubt about it that we'll all die someday. It's just that particular phase, that last phase, which is always a difficult proposition to embrace. Be that as it may the soul continue to rest in eternal peace. Yesterday we would have attended a short but brief but meaningful funeral service for Mr. Trevor Hector. Many of you may not know him, but he was living over there in the Shaw's Road area. I got to know him maybe about 2 years ago. I believe he would have had some challenges in life in terms of being incarcerated at some point. But the little I knew of him, when I got to know him, is someone who, came back into the community with a purpose. And when I say with a purpose, he was one who never asked for anything in terms of monies or anything like that, other than to ask for an opportunity to make some money, meaning a job. He was into landscaping, and he would have, done work for many persons over there in the community of Newcastle and beyond. Because if you knew him, then you would have seen him on that little moped or that little scooter or whatever you want to call it, with his weed walker sticking up at the back of him, and he's riding around the island. Wherever there was a job, he would have gone to that location and perform his duties. And like I said, he always asks me, well, Jeffers, you don't have something I can do? You don't have somewhere I can cut, whatever? Never asked me for any money, which I admire him for that. Someone who was willing to work, and that is a characteristic in someone that we should all emulate. but he sadly passed away about a week or two ago, and there was a short ceremony, a short service for him, and there were quite a number of persons in attendance, and he was laid to rest thereafter. So that, of course, was one of those situations that you just learnt of it when it happened, meaning it happened, you didn't hear of anything prior to that, because I am certain I would have passed him the day before on Shaw's Road cutting some grass on a property on Shaw's Road. And so it was a surprise. If he was going through something, perhaps he was, but it was not going to keep him down and keep him from doing what he had to do. So he has gone, and may his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. But on to this last recognition, and that is the passing of Geraldine Bina Blake. I believe I spoke about this some weeks ago, but I'm bringing it up now again because her funeral service here in Nevis is this afternoon. At 1:30 the viewing starts, and then the service will be at 2 p.m. So that's where I'm headed once I'm done here. But before I move on, let me just say again that Bina, born and raised in Brick Hill, but spent most of her life in St. Martin, would have left Nevis at a tender age. Of course, I would have said before that she was the mom of one of our Culturama Queen and also Carnival Queen, Miss Geraldine Blake. Many of you would recall Miss Geraldine Blake. I believe she would have gotten married and have a different last name. But anyway, let's stick with what we know. And of course, her granddaughter Charlene Blake, who is here on the island, we call her Cha-Cha or something of that sort. And of course, the extended family, brothers and sisters, recognize Pearl, her sister, and also Marilyn Nisbet, her niece. We all know the guy there by the name of Claude, the Doc Nisbet. That's Bina is his aunt, and of course an extended family, many family members and friends and well-wishers who I'm sure would want to join with me in expressing profound sympathies, and also will join with me later in coming over to the St. James Anglican Church to pay our final respects on the passing of Bina. So Bina would be buried this afternoon, so those of you who are listening at this time and you can make it over to the St. James Anglican Church, come on over, let's show the support to the surviving family members. Yeah? Okay, very good. We move on to something. Well, before I do, anyone who are at the Alexandra Hospital at this time, I want to express get well greetings to you. I believe my friend Tatiana Germain is there. Tatiana, if you're there, I will come and see you later this afternoon after the funeral, or later this evening. I'm going to stop by and say hello and give you my best wishes then. But of course, if you're listening now, my I hope and desire is that your stay there will be a short one, and you'll be up and about again in short order. But things do happen to us, and of course, when things happen to us, we move with alacrity to get some attention, to get the experts deal with those situations so that we can be back on our feet again. So I wish you well, Tatiana, and all those who are currently there at the Alexandra Hospital. I want to say that we want to wish you all of the very best so that you can be up and about again in short order to continue with your contribution to the development of the island of Nevis. So I'll stop by later, all being well, to lend my support. Okay, so in times of difficulties, there's also time to celebrate. And indeed, we can say persons have passed, persons are going through some challenging time, and persons are celebrating as well. So if you're celebrating a birthday, if you're celebrating an anniversary, or you're celebrating some major accomplishment, I want to express congratulations to you, best wishes to you, and whatever accolades that can be bestowed upon you at this particular time. I want to do so. And so, of course, I don't have anyone per se on my list for today, but I want to recognize Mrs. Mabel Jeffers, who would have celebrated her birthday yesterday, Thursday. I believe I heard that on the radio. So I'm going to say, Mabel, I hope you had a wonderful time yesterday. And while I'm at that, let me say hello to your husband, Hugh, as well. Both of you are here on the island. At least you do come down from Canada from time to time to spend time with us. So you're home and you're celebrating at home. And of course, you go ahead and celebrate. Well, I hope you would have celebrated in the best way possible. I always say from these microphones that when it comes to a birthday, the best you can do for yourself is to, make sure that you enjoy that day to the extent where even if you have $100 and you can spend $50 on yourself, do that. And hopefully your health and strength will be there to enable you to make back that 50, to put back with the 50 to get back to 100. I'm just making it as simplistic as I can. But the point is, go on out and enjoy yourself. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know what the next day holds. So I'm saying, anyone who was celebrating today, listen, pick up yourself. Don't wait for someone to come for you. If you can, and you can move, go and enjoy yourself. Go on out. Go for a dinner. Sit by yourself. Nothing is wrong with that. Go for a drive and go to some place and socialize and enjoy yourself. And make sure that you're having fun on this your special day. Okay, let's move on. I spent some time with that, but it's usually like that. We're not just here just to talk politics or anything like that, but also to recognize persons and to also impart information. I believe at the end of January, the 31st of January, the master list, electoral, I'm talking about the electoral process now. The list of voters would have been published on the 31st of January. That is the master list, we call it. That would include all of the persons who would have registered, who are currently registered, and who would have registered up to the end of November 2024. I believe I have that correct. But be that as it may, that list is posted at different places, shops, bars, or gas station, or a public place within the various communities here on Nevis. Well, in St. Kitts as well, but since I'm in Nevis, let me speak about Nevis. But generally speaking, though, that is posted on the 31st of January, and it is available for anyone to peruse or to look at, to make sure your name is there and make sure that what you're looking for is there as well, or not there for that matter. Be that as it may, those persons who don't currently reside in a particular area or community, this period of time between the 31st of January, or let me say from the 1st of February to the 10th of December, this is your time to go down to the electoral office to transfer your name to where you now live. The law requires you to register where you live. In most cases, those who are registered currently who are not living where they're registered, then the law provides for you to vote where you're registered. But the legal thing to do and the decent thing to do is to go and transfer your name. If you're not living in a particular community, it is for you then to go and transfer your name to where you now reside. For example, if you're registered in Butlers and you now live in Barnesgate for that matter, that is where you should transfer your name to, and that's where you'll register to vote. But in some cases, persons from different political parties will see your name and then object to your name. So in this regard, there is the period 1st of January to the 1st of February, what am I saying? 1st of February to the 10th of February. That is the window for objections to be filed. So I suppose both political parties here on Nevis, or there's a third party as well somewhere out there on the island, and of course those that exist in St. Kitts, they're perusing the list, and of course they'll proceed to make the necessary objections. And of course, if you're objected to and you want to make the process easy instead of fighting a process that you know you'll be futile in the end, it is an effort. It would be an effort in futility. You'd want to just go down to the electoral office and effectuate that transfer to where you now live, and that will make sure that we have a transparent and a less adversarial electoral system and process. We always hear about reform, but reform starts with all of us, in that we just have to be honest about our dealings and honest about our efforts when it comes to the electoral process. Some may say we are far away from an election. I don't know where we are when it comes to an election. The bottom line is, an election can be called at any time. At any time. So it is incumbent upon all of us to do what is necessary to ensure that we are properly registered when the time comes. So that was my admonition, that those who are not currently registered where you live, but your name is somewhere else, you want to go and effectuate that transfer to where you now live, so you would be registered where you live. And that is what I would admonish all of us to do, or all of you out there who are not in that particular position, to regularize yourself to the extent where you're registered where you live. And that is, I spent some time, and you see I'm emphasizing register where you live. It doesn't matter. Your vote will count where you are or where you're living. So don't think that you're going to stay in St. James or stay in St. John's simply because you want to impact or in some way the electoral results or the election results because you're from St. Thomas's or you're from St. George's. If you live in St. George's, take your name up there and go up and vote for the best candidate up there. Same thing over in St. Thomas's. But if you are in St. James and you don't live there, then take your name where you currently live and make your mark right there in terms of making your X and voting in the constituency that you reside. Here's what happened. When you go to the constituency where you reside, whomever the representative is, you can go to that representative because you would have voted accordingly, or you're within that constituency where you reside. So who best to approach in the event that you need something done? That person who is a representative of that constituency is who you would want to approach. Not saying you live in St. James and because you live in St. Thomas's or you live in St. John's, you're coming over to St. James to the representative, whether at the federal level or local level you're coming, or vice versa. You live in St. James and you're going over to the... No, you want to go to whoever is your representative in the constituency that you live. I spent some time at that because there was a point in time here on the island of Nevis, there was a lot of noise being made about where people are registered and where they should vote and that type of thing. There was a point in time as well where persons who were legally registered to vote on the list, where they were registered and should vote where they were registered, there were the effort made, and it was done, not the effort, but it was done where persons' names were removed from the voters list simply because someone felt that they should not be there, they should not vote, and they did not get to vote. I want us to move beyond some of these nonsense, yeah? Because there's no need for all of this noise, there's no need for all of this dishonesty, because that's what it is. The law provides for something to be done, so you go and do what the law prescribes. So I laugh because we have come a long way, but we're not there yet, because I remember there was a point in time where persons were transferred from all the way down in Halfway Tree up there to Fountain, yeah, by those who control the electoral process then. And it took me a few years of fighting. We came here behind these microphones and we called out names, we named them, we shamed them, we did all that was necessary to get those names off of the list. And it should not be like that, because if you live down in Halfway Tree, you don't even know where Fountain is. But because they control the electoral process between 2006 and 2013, Persons were brought from all over St. Kitts, including Halfway Tree, including St. Paul's, including Date Bay, including all over St. Kitts where they could have found names, and brought them over here and dumped them into St. James, dumped them into St. John's, dumped them into St. Paul's. I'm reminding people of this. Some may not want to hear it, but this is a part of our history. Don't want history to repeat itself at all. But the bottom line is, it was done before, and I believe some may even be thinking about it. And if you're thinking about it, I want to say to you, don't even try it. So I'm saying to those out there who are currently registered where they don't live, please go down to the electoral office and effectuate that transfer. Spent a few minutes on it for a lot of reasons, because we want to make sure that everyone gets a fair chance to vote, and we don't want the confusion that would have ensued after those things were done back in the time when NRP was in control of the process, and those who were called enablers over on the St. Kitts end. Don't want to get into that. So let us get it right. Let us get it straight. Yeah. Okay. So we leave that. So you have between January, I say it again, February 1st and February 10th, which is next Monday, to get that sorted out. Okay. Yeah. From time to time, I come here and I look at those numbers over there at Wally Water Taxi Facility. Those who appreciate these numbers would want to hear them at the end of each month when I come, and those who probably don't want to hear them will probably just tune out, but that's okay. We'll still mention them because they are important information and data to disseminate. If you would recall, back at the end of 2024, December 2024, I did indicate that we would have seen passenger movement through the Wally Water Taxi Facility of just about 939,613 passengers would have moved through that facility, going to Reggae Beach and coming from Reggae Beach and beyond as well too. Yeah? Okay. So those data represent a period from May 2019 to December 2024. 939,613 passengers would have moved through that facility. For January 2025, we would have seen passenger movements in and out of Wally Water Taxi Facility that amounted to 25,436 passengers. 12,568 passengers came from Reggae Beach to Wally. 12,868 passengers would have moved from Wally to Reggae Beach, for a grand total of 25,436 passengers. Phenomenal, of course. Compared to last year, January, there was a total of 24,197 passengers for the month of January 2024. So we can say there was a net or a plus amount of 1,239 passengers over and above January 2024. Now, when you add that to the running total that we had at the end of January of 939,613 passengers, we have a grand total thus far of movements of passengers from May 2019 to January 2025, the 31st of January, that is, 965,049 passengers. That is our number to date. And the reason why I'm running these tallies is because I want to see when we get to the 1 million mark, which is coming up shortly, God's willing. So over the next couple of months, I believe we should be there, or this quarter, I must say, we should be there. So that is phenomenal in every respect, and it demonstrates that that facility continues to provide all of the services that were intended from day one. The vision that was behind the thinking of constructing that facility continues to bear fruit every single day. And every day when I pass there, it is just phenomenal standing and watching the movement and marvel at the amount of persons that are using that particular facility. And so I want to again commend all of the boat operators for operating in a safe and secure fashion. Continue to do so. All of the workers there who are employed by NASPA, I want to continue to congratulate you for offering the services that you offer. Those who are employed in and around or with the various water taxi operators, I want to also thank you for your service. And the taxi operators and those who offer different services over there, I have now seen persons coming there to offer these ATVs for rental. And of course there are car rental companies that benefit over there as well. Everyone is playing their part, or everyone is certainly doing what is necessary to ensure that services are available to those who come over from St. Kitts or beyond, even if you're coming from the U.S. mainland or wherever you're coming from and coming through that facility, the services are being offered. So I say it once again, and some people get offended when I say money is being made over there. And that was the intention, to offer the services, but it also on a larger scale to ensure that the revenue stream and revenue generation is there, and money is made and money is collected by all sectors here on the island of Nevis. Restaurant and bars, hotels and taxi operators, like I just said, and all those who offer different services. So I'm saying to those in St. Kitts, come on over and enjoy the amenities that we have here to offer. And when you come over, if you don't rent a vehicle, you can have access to a taxi right there at the exit point. That is the main gate. If you have a friend or family member, of course they'll come and get you. If you don't have somewhere to stay, make your call. There are places to stay in Nevis. And indeed, we have an increase in the amount of eateries here on the island of Nevis. Many different restaurants are available to you down at Penny's around the island. You just have to pick up a brochure, and all those are within those brochures. But of course, if I start calling names, I'll be calling almost 50 options that would be available to you, or maybe more. So if you're into Penny's Beach, there's Penny's Beach. If you're into Westbury, there's Westbury. If you're into Newcastle, there are places over in Newcastle. If you're into Bath Village, because I know my good friend Blackhat is down here at Bath Stream area, and he has some good food as well. Jamaica, I did say he have his own place as well. You go up to Mems and you go all down into Cox and all up to Chicken Stone. The Loris have a Friday night thing up there, fish and chicken and the like. So Bullock is along the main road there, Chicken Stone. So you're all around Nevis. One thing I can say that we are proud of here in Nevis, we cook good food. And indeed, the cuisine here is unsurpassed. Anywhere you go here on the island of Nevis, you'll find good food and good company. And what better to get good food, good company, and a good drink along with that? That complete the circle in terms of the right ambience, the right food, and the right setting and everything. So it's available here in Nevis. So come on over. I'm promoting my lovely island because, of course, we love Nevis. They say Nevis nice. Well, Nevis will be nicer when you come and be on your best behavior, yeah? Come on over and enjoy what we have to offer. Okay, let's move along because there are a couple of other things I wanted to touch on. Last week I didn't touch on the airport development, but of course we're still working and moving with alacrity to get this project up and going. And I believe we have made tremendous progress over the last year thereabout. But in recent times we have made some great steps forward. I don't want to use the term quantum leap because that would mean that we're ready to start to break ground and start to clear and dig up and what's not, yeah? But what I can say is that last week we received the news that the loan for the payment of those lands over there at the airport that would be acquired for the construction or expansion of the Van Samry International Airport, that loan was approved last week, and we're now working and doing what is necessary through the legal department, the government legal department, to get to the point where we can start drawing down and paying persons for their properties. Of course, you may recall that I did indicate that we're seeking to get some lands on the eastern end of the current runway. And of course, there are quite a number of acres of lands that we're getting on the south side of the current runway, which is somewhere around the tire whirl and the back of those areas, and indeed also down at the western end. So we are acquiring some lands, and we have gotten the news that, of course, the loan has been approved. So we are getting ourselves ready to pay those persons whom we would have contacted a long time ago, a very long time ago, since 2023. Many persons were contacted. As a matter of fact, I can go back to 2020. I would have written to landowners back then, especially up in the east. So the engagement was there since then, and we continue to engage accordingly. So more information on that process will be known shortly, but of course we are moving with alacrity because we are hoping that over the next couple of months we can have good news for the people of Nevis in terms of moving towards the necessary infrastructural work that is needed to move that process forward. But I did mention before what the scope of work over there at Van Summer International Airport would entail. And of course, I would just go through those once again so that persons are familiar with what will be done in terms of the extension of the runway and the likes. Now, there are quite a number of things that are planned over there. For example, the runway. We have said in the past and continue to say that we'll be extending the current runway. It is just about 4,000 feet as it is currently. We will be extending to just about 6,070 feet. 6,070 feet of runway. We'll head towards the east and also to the west. So to the east, we are adding an additional 1,207 feet of runway. That is 1,207 feet of runway. And then to the west, 860 feet of runway. So that will give us a total, when it's all said and done, of just about 6,070 feet of runway. Of course, we will be rehabilitating the surface of the runway. We will actually be replacing the current lighting around the airfield as well, and improving it with LED lighting and the likes. Of course, we'll also be reconstructing the current taxiways over there, and also including an additional 2 taxiways. We'll also be rehabilitating and reconstructing the current apron that is in front of that is on the north side of the passenger terminal, and constructing a brand new apron as well for parking of jets, and also when we see that American Eagle or the Embraer 175, which is the design, that is the design aircraft that we are seeking to lower here to Nevis, or any aircraft of that particular size. So the apron will be reconstructed in front of the passenger terminal building, and also a new apron will be constructed to accommodate commercial operation and also for cargo services as well. In terms of aircraft that will be able to land on this particular runway when it's all said and done, you're looking at, like, say, the Embraer 145 that is currently being used by airlines such as the now Liat 2020, Inter-Caribbean, and other airlines that use similar type, those Embraer 145 that is. The Embraer 170, which is a smaller version of the Embraer 175, of course that should be able to land there, along with the Embraer 175. The Embraer 190 or 195, I believe they can land, but they would land with the restrictions, especially they can land especially if they're on, let's say, a chartered flight, for example. Commercial activity require much more, but of course the runway would be there to accommodate such. I almost believe that the Airbus 319, which is, they used to call it the baby bus, still being used by some airlines and some charter airlines as well too. That normally requires just about 6,080 feet of runway, perhaps with some limitations that can land as well. So in terms of jets, of course, you're looking at those mid-size and light jets and heavy jet, long-range jets, all of those, what do you call it now, all of those private jets and business jets. Those, every single one of them would be able to land over there when it's all said and done. So whether it's a light jet, a mid-size jet, a mid-size super jet, or heavy jet, or long-range jet, or even those business-type jets, those, you know, they have converted some of those commercial airline-type jets into business jets as well. So we'll see. And if you were to go over there to the airport anytime now or later, you would see what is called a Falcon. That's a Falcon jet. That's perhaps what they call maybe a mid-size super jet. Those take you from here to New York and perhaps beyond as well too. So all of those Gulfstream and Phenom jets and what other jets now? Citations, Cessnas, all of those will be able to land over there. Plus we have seen the Global 7500 landing over there and taking off. The only difference when the runway is extended is that Global 75 or the Global 6000, all of those will be able to land and leave full of passengers, full of fuel. The difficulty we have right now when it comes to Nevis is that in most cases, some of these larger private jets are not able to leave here with full of passengers, that is, and full of fuel, simply because the runway is entirely too short. So what will happen with this particular extension of the runway? It would put us in a position where we'll be able to attract high-end clients, high-end visitors, and not only visitors, but they can certainly come and scope out the island of Nevis and build high-end properties. High-end properties lead to higher property taxes being collected, raising the profile of the island of Nevis. All sorts of services will be offered over there in terms of fixed base operation, where you'll find the persons who are employed will be exposed to high-end clients and offering high-quality service, whether it's concierge services and the likes. So I see tremendous possibilities with this particular development, and there may be the naysayers out there, and I've said before, and I will insist and continue to say it, that Nevis will never ever realize its true potential or get to the next level of its development if we were to maintain that little strip that we have over there. We'll never see anything better than what we're getting or different than what we're getting. But once we were to complete this particular development, and I cast my mind back to 2003, thereabout, when the American Eagle, that's turboprop, came out of Puerto Rico, the buzz that was there behind that particular airline coming in here with passengers 4 times per day, landing and taking off, and the amount of revenue some persons boasted that they were making, taxi operators, hoteliers, everyone. What I'm saying is that with this extension, this expansion, we will take Nevis back to those glory days and beyond, because times have changed and persons are moving differently now. We didn't have the amount of private jets then. New jets have come into the market. As a matter of fact, there are about 8 different type of business jet or private jets that are out there flying around, and every single one of them will be coming to Nevis when the time is right, when we have completed this expansion. So from baggage handlers to ramp attendant to customs officers, immigration officers, airline attendants, persons who would work in the fixed base operation or FBOs, persons who would work in the brand new customs building that will be built, persons who will maintain the property in terms of landscaping, persons who would man the fuel farm and also perform the duties of refueling aircraft. there will be tremendous amount of work available to persons over there at the Vance Amri International Airport. So exciting days are ahead. In the transport business, of course, taxi operators, some of them are making money down there at the Holy Water Taxi Facility. When the time comes, there'll be additional demands for taxi services here on the island of Nevis. And so those of us who or those of you who are in various fields, you can add your taxi service to your portfolio as well. Go and get a taxi. Well, no, you first have to be trained, and once you get trained, then you can go and get yourself a taxi and join the line. And don't let nobody talk you out of these things. You know, nothing at all is the meaning around here when it comes to money. The Queen head is on it, or whoever head is on it, and it's whatever it is, $100, $20, $50. Listen, legal tender. Get it the legal way. And money is legal tender to spend. So go and make your money, because there will be monies to be made. Those of us here on the island of Nevis, Nevis belong to us. Those who reside here, you have come and you have embraced Nevis. I am saying to all of us, once there's monies to be made in a legal fashion, go and make your money. There's a lot of negativity out there. Some persons are questioning this investment and say, oh, we're going to saddle our young people with a debt. When they come into this world and they start working, they have to pay a debt. Listen, all of us who are alive today, when we came into this world, we met debt. We'll exit this world and leave debt. We came into this world and we got into school and went into a job, and we have been paying debt that were left behind by previous administrations. And so to move the island forward, you must incur debt in order to get the infrastructure up to par. You must incur debt in order to get this particular infrastructure, the Vance Amri International Airport, to where it once was and beyond. And so all over the world, monies are being spent to improve infrastructure because of the value it brings to a particular country or island. Around us here in the Caribbean, everybody is spending money on their airport infrastructure. Why? They understand what it means to have connectivity and connection to their country or their island. They're doing it all around us. So why shouldn't Nevis? And of course, we are not being reckless in any form or in any way. We are doing what we are doing because we understand what the value of this project and this airport expansion mean to the island of Nevis. So, as I said before, expansion of aprons, the whole airport and the whole surrounding will be fenced and so forth. And in terms of all of the flooding over there, that will be taken care of with the drainage systems that will be put in place. In terms of the new road, of course, that will be constructed. That will be a new bypass road that will be done, fuel farm, and all of those road realignment would mean improvement in our infrastructure over there as well. So we're working towards getting this project going, and I'm talking about it, yes, but most people meet me on the street and say, I don't want to hear anything about the project anymore. What I want to hear is when you're going to start and when you're going to finish, and what will be the value to the island of Nevis. So that is what persons are looking for. Persons are yearning to get their jobs over there, whether it's backhoe operators, excavator operators, truck drivers, whether it's engineers, surveyors, whatever. If it's just as a laborer to do something on site, whatever the case might be. Persons are waiting and expecting something to happen shortly, and we're heading there. But of course, we have to talk about these things and keep the public informed as to what is happening, and that's why I come from time to time to provide information, because information is key to everything. So the Vance Wingcourt Amri International Airport expansion project is still on a pathway to happen here shortly, and as I said before, as I come here from time to time, I will provide updates as to where we are. In wrapping up that, let me just say that, of course, we have gotten the approval from the National Bank for those funds that we would have requested to pay the various landowners and property owners over there in and around, or let me say surrounding the Vance Amri International Airport. So payments should start in short order. And then once that is done, you'll start to see clearing and cleaning being done. And then we move to the next phase, the next step, the next level in terms of getting the project up and going. So stand by and listen up for more information. I have a few minutes left, so let me just say, last week I touched on some lands, and I did say, well, boss, if I were the NRP, I would leave land issues alone. They've gone about, trying to, do all kind of foolishness. Anyway, that's the NRP for you. Real rubbish, and selling Nevis in the worst possible way. That is what they do. Anything negative, go and check the NRP. Anything positive, you're in the right place with the Concerned Citizens Movement. The amount of negativity you see being spewed by the NRP doesn't surprise me, because it is a part of their culture. Because they have a culture of lies, deception, deflection, denigration. Because they like to denigrate people, call down people, call them the worst names, call them the worst things. And they seem to love doing that because it is a part of their culture. Whether you are CCM and you jump over to the NRP, you embrace the culture that they have. Terrible culture. And so it comes out in what they say, no matter where they came from. If they were with CCM, if they were with some other party, by the time they get among the fold, is the same old thing you're hearing from them. So you hear a lot of negativity, and Nevis is being shown in a bad light by the NRP. And I want to say to the people of Nevis that when a person tell you who they are, take them at their word. But when they show you who they are, which they're showing us exactly who they are an angry bunch of people, real angry bunch of people. Because people in their right mental state and people who have a love for an island that they want and claim that they want to lead will not behave like that. As a matter of fact, I honestly look at the NRP as the tail wagging the dog, because Janice is the leader of the NRP. And with all of the foolishness being spewed by those around her and around her in her party, not one word you have heard of condemnation, not one word to say, well, that is not the party that I lead. Those are not the words of the party that I lead. But I will say this to you. There's a word called surrogate. They're all up and on the TV in America. Once a surrogate says something, that is what the party means. And that is what the party want to say. Because they go out there and they try their best to win the hearts of those out there who are willing to listen. And then persons like Janice, who is the leader of the NRP, well, she stands to benefit from all of the negativity, all of the badness that is being done, all of the nonsense that is being said, all of the wickedness that is being spewed out there. That is how Janice intends to benefit, yeah? So Janice, you're not left out of the equation. You well know what is going on, and you well embrace what is going on, and you well understand what is going on. Because I am telling you, compared to my leader, the Honorable Mark Brantley, there's no way under the sun or the moon Mark Brantley would allow anyone in the Concerned Citizens Movement to talk the kind of mental madness that you hear going on out there. Calling down Nevis? Never. Never. Not Mark Brantley, not the one that I know and have been around for many years, went to Sixth Form with and got into CCM, and we did what we had to do for this party between 2006 and 2013 in opposition. That is the man I know, and I've been in government with him, and I know Mark Brantley would never, ever allow that kind of madness and that kind of negativity to be spewed out there to call on the island of Nevis, a gem of an island that we call Nevis. Best place on earth. I normally travel, when I travel I tell people Nevis is the closest thing to paradise and the nearest thing to heaven. That's how much I believe in this island. But anyway, their negativity, let them go ahead. But I want to leave and say this, that, they keep talking about land in Nevis. Well, I would tell you, I don't have all the facts here, but as the Minister of Lands, I know we would have bought in excess of 100 acres of lands while I was there as the Minister of Lands. And I don't think that we would have spent $30 million when it was all said and done. We did some good, fierce negotiations. But the NRP acquired 2 acres of lands with some old building down there by West Haven for $30 million. So I want Nevisians to wrap that around their head and chew on that for a bit. 2 acres of lands for $30 million. And we would have bought and acquired over 100 acres of lands while we were there, while I was there as the Minister of Lands, and it didn't cost us $30 million at all. I'm going to get the facts and the figures surrounding that. So all you know is you hear them making is a means of deflection. I tell you about them, like deflect. They could deflect as much as they want. We're going to remind the people of Nevis that NRP were woeful when they were there handling the affairs of Nevis. All they were thinking about was themselves, but not the people of Nevis for sure. Not when you acquire 2 acres of lands with some old building for $30 million and refuse to pay 14 other landowners or 13 other landowners for lands that you would have taken away from them, acquired from them, poor people land. You have no moral authority to talk about lands, NRP. Go and sit down. Okay? With that, I would leave it there for now because I think my time is up. I want to thank you for listening to On Point for today. And normally we come and we stay on point. That is why we normally run out of time and run out of, the available time and don't even get to all of the things that we want to say because there's so many things to talk about. If you stay on point, a lot of things to talk about. Yeah? So, thank you for listening to On Point again this another Friday afternoon. If you go to church on a Saturday, go and serve your God tomorrow. If you go on Sunday, do likewise. Go out and serve your God as well. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Say a prayer for the island of Nevis, for the leader of the island of Nevis, and say a prayer for me as well too. I certainly appreciate that. And may God continue to bless us all, bless the island of Nevis, and have yourself a wonderful and safe weekend. Goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.